The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv. We got a lot to talk about, but I think we got to start. Today is the 12th, and obviously we weren't on the 11th.
That's
and
right.
Yesterday was the 21st anniversary of 9/11.
Hard to believe it's already 21 years. Huh?
Yeah, it does. And ironically, I was in New York the day before. I had lunch two blocks from the World Trade Center. I was
Right.
scheduled to be in New York on the 11th and 12th, but I came back early. I was on duty that day, and I came back and I went to work. I had somebody working for me, but since I came back early, I did go in, and when the first plane hit the tower, I was in my office filling out reports, and somebody came to get me, and we sat in the kitchen and watched the entire thing unfold. It was a tragedy beyond belief, and
Do you know how many people they actually saved from the World Trade Center? Actual survivors of the collapse and everything?
no, I was looking at more toward the casualties.
20 people.
That's all. Yeah.
That's all. And 2 of them were Port Authority police officers. They made a movie about them. I watched the movie, part of the movie yesterday, and it's amazing. It's amazing on how they were found. And you know, when you think about what that entailed, I mean, I remember where I was when the plane hit the first tower. I was in front of my TV set, and I saw it, and I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And then when I saw a second one, I'm like, there's a problem.
Yeah, I didn't see the first. They came in to get me, and I saw the second. But there were 2,996 people killed, civilians. Of those, 2,753 were killed at the World Trade Center, 184 at the Pentagon. And then we get down to the body count for first responders, and I know this number by heart because a year later we had the first memorial to 9/11, and we ran it down in front of the firefighter memorial. 343 firefighters died. And 71 law enforcement officers died. As horrific as that was, and it was, and I actually knew some people personally who died there because they were union officials who I had met at conventions. Mm-hmm. And at the time, the Secretary-Treasurer of the International Association of Firefighters was Vinnie Boland, who was a lieutenant on a ladder company in New York City. FDNY, and his ladder company responded to that on the first alarm. Of course, he wasn't there; he was worked in the IFF. Mm-hmm. But it was a tremendous tragedy. But I look back at that and I watch some of the videos. Why do these people call me in the middle of the show? I don't know. That's Walgreens. They're going to tell me for the 100th time I have a prescription. But you know what I saw there? I saw something that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. Americans coming together.
Yes.
For a common cause.
Yes.
There were no wokey agendas and pronouns, and people were running down to the recruiting office to join the military. People were waving flags. People didn't care what ethnicity you were, what color you were, what religion you were,
what political party you were,
what political party that you were in.
Yep.
We were all Americans, and it's a sad commentary, but I miss those days because it's gone.
Right.
And I don't know if we're ever going to get it back.
That lasted for about 2, maybe 3 years. I remember.
Yeah.
And as I said in the Weekend Flush, these are true heroes because they went into a building knowing they're going to die. They knew it. Okay? They were hoping they wouldn't. They were hoping things would be different, but they knew the way it looked, they weren't going to survive. And they still went in that building.
Yeah, that is the ultimate sacrifice. When you know, firefighters know that when they go into any fire. But when they went to that building, they were. I don't know if they realized the magnitude that this building was going to totally collapse and basically kill them all. But there was no doubt in their mind when they went into that building, when they went to those buildings, as tall as they were and everything else, and as heavily involved with fire as it was, that they knew that many of them were not going to come out.
Right.
And the reality is most of them didn't come out. And, you know, but it's a credit to all of those people. You know, they remain, you know, our brothers, and the loss is felt and forever. But every firefighter faces that on a much less of a scale, obviously. But to think about 343 men that went in there with a total disregard for their own lives and 79 law enforcement officers it's really inspiring that these people have that much commitment to saving other lives.
Did Fall River send a contingency down there to help out?
We had some people. We did have people that go down there, but they were inundated with people. There were too many people there. They were asking people not to go,
right,
because they had such an outpouring of support. Mm-hmm. That they were actually asking people to not go there. Mm-hmm. And but when you think about it, as I said, we came together as Americans. We remembered. And they can say what they want about nationalism, and they say that it's no good to say "Make America Great Again," but nationalism is the thing that really brings people together. And with that, we get off 9/11, which obviously we should all keep in our minds and never forget it. It shouldn't be a one day a year thing. We should always remember what happened there.
Did you read in the Weekend Flush what George Bush called that day? It's called Patriot Day, not Patriots Day, Patriot Day.
Yeah.
So in Massachusetts, we get confused.
Yeah. I'll switch over quickly. I was watching this morning. The Queen is in Scotland.
Yes.
And they're walking a mile to the church.
The Royal Mile.
Yeah, the Royal Mile, and I was, I'm always profoundly touched when I see things like this, because I know what it is to be a first responder. I know what it is to be in the military. But, people, this is the problem. The society now thinks we've got the right to just cancel anything we don't like. But when I saw, the British, well, the Scottish arm of the British military there, the honor guard, and the precision that they used in handling the coffin, in the marching and stuff like that, there is a lot to be said about, they call it pomp and circumstance, but there is a lot to say about rituals. Mm-hmm. Rituals really can bring people together. The British have always been great at that. The British military has always been great, even their method of marching with a big arm swing as opposed to the way we march. And, everybody had their own unique style. The Germans had the goose step,
right,
which is not well looked upon now, but it was a method that differs from us, and some people still use a modified goose. But the British with their big arm swing as they march. And you look at the military and the pomp and circumstance, that's respect, and what it does is it memorializes that respect, because there's a way to do these things. And it's things and saying things that are totally. But that's today's society, and unfortunately,
The last time Britain and the Commonwealth saw such an outpouring like this was when Princess Diana died.
Yep.
And this is much greater,
Yeah.
much greater. And the thing is that, you know, one of the things that I saw this morning was the Scottish Royal Guard.
Yep.
They were in green, I believe. And you're right. I mean, the precision and everything that goes on with this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know when I've seen our soldiers come back, I've seen the precision of handling the remains. I've seen the precision of handling the coffin. I've seen the precision of folding of the flag, the presentation. But England's got us beat. England's got us beat.
Well, I don't know. They do it a little bit differently, but I'm gonna have to go. If you've never seen the movie with James Caan, Gardens of Stone, it's about the army god which walks at the tomb of the unknown soldier.
Yes, I've
does
seen
the
them.
burials at Arlington National Cemetery. The criteria to be on there is incredible. You
Right.
have to be within a particular height. You can't, you have to be fundamentally around the same height, the same weight, and you watch them march at the tomb of the unknown, and if you watch them at a burial ceremony, and any military group, whether it's Army, Air Force,
Yep.
Marines, or Navy, when you see them fold the flag for a veteran, the respect that's shown
Yes.
in that is people should pay attention, because that's one of the problems we have in today's society. There's no respect for other people. And it doesn't matter what color, what race, what religion that individual was. It was a veteran who served the country. And when you see these things and you see that being done, and the respect that's shown, and those things are just incredible. But I'll tell you what, I'll put our honor guard against anybody's honor guard. But they're all those people can't drink, they can't do anything while they serve their tour as an honor guard.
2 years.
You can't. You basically got to live like a monk.
And you live right there.
That's right. You got to live like a monk.
Yeah, you live right there.
So that's
and your uniform must be crisp and pressed properly. Your medals, your pins, everything must be on appropriately. There's no, the shoes must be, and they have a special shoe, which people don't know about. They have a special shoe. I watched the whole thing about them, and very, very few people, less than 1%.
And they're giving up 2 years of their life.
That's right.
Fundamentally, no fun, no nothing. That's how much respect they have for that detail.
Right.
That detail is to respect our veterans, and that's something. But let's get to the real stuff here. Again, we have there is an allegation.
Yes, there is.
Abounding that our Representative Carol Fiola allegedly, and this was written on a Facebook post by an individual who we see a lot at the council meetings, that she said even if people vote no on the MBTA, that they're going to circumvent it in Boston. They're going to have a special meeting and do something. Well, I hate to say this, but there's going to be a lot of problems if that's true. I sent her an email. She's never responded to my second email.
Alan's never responded to mine.
With the questions about projected costs. Not now. I don't want to hear that scan that, right now, if we had it right now, our CERTA thing would cover it. Well, how about in 23 when the MBTA falls off the cliff, which are the words of its own director?
Right.
That they're billions in the hole, those headlines that I held up at the last show. It's going to take decades and billions of dollars, and even a federal takeover will not save the MBTA. You don't think, anybody in their right mind does not think that they're going to start charging more and taking more money from communities, the state, and the feds to survive, to keep their paychecks coming. You're crazy. And the arrogance and the elitism of a state representative to say that if you read the law, Chapter 161A, I believe it's section 6 about it being on the ballot. It says in the last line that if you don't approve it, it doesn't come.
Right.
Period. You can't get it if the people speak. So that's the law that the MBTA lives by. It says it can't come here. But not only the law, 161A, but the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Well, it's an allegation. But how can anybody that swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the Commonwealth as a state representative forget that part of the first Article 4 says we are our government.
That's right.
Not her. And part of the first Article 5, one of our favorites, says, to close, that they are at all times our substitutes and agents and answerable to us.
That's right.
How do you think you're going to get away with this if this is true? And I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to tell you on the air because I'm going to send her another email asking, where are my projected numbers? And by the way, there is an allegation going out. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. We're going to give it due process. I'm going to say, if this is true, I want to know how you're going to manage to circumvent not only the MBTA law, but the Constitution of this Commonwealth, which you swore an oath to uphold. So what are you doing? If this is true, and as I said, I'll remind you, I'm saying it's an allegation, because she may deny it. But if they do it, any representative that's behind that should be immediately thrown out of office, because they're violating their constitutional duty to represent the people of the Commonwealth, and more expressly, the people of their representative district.
I have no argument from me, none whatsoever. And I'll tell you now, again, we're dealing with an allegation. We have no hard proof, but I know the person who has provided this information is pretty reliable. Pretty reliable. Although I think can be very emotion-ridden, for the lack of a better expression. But we have to look at that. And you know, when we look at this, the reason why people right now are so hell-bent on getting the MBTA passed is because they're putting investments into property along the MBTA line because they can, because right now the rules are out the window. But if the train doesn't come to Fall River, all those properties are going to become Section 8. They're going to become public housing.
But they're also, well, obviously they have a vested interest.
Right.
They have a monetary interest. So
Correct.
they don't care about the people it displaces or the
Right.
damage it does to the taxpayer, because they're rich. They're investing. They got a lot of money. And just like in California where Newsom's wearing a fleece and saying, oh, it's because it really felt cool at 78 in my house, you know, bull. You had the air conditioning blasting, just like you went to the French Laundry for lunch with all your friends with no masks when you were requiring your entire state, you're going to put them in jail. You know, this is BS. One of the reasons that the people are not really outraged yet is because our media and our council is not doing their job. They are not reporting the financial conditions of the MBTA.
Right.
We showed the headlines. They are being kept in the dark and they're being fed half-truths, which are half-lies. And they're being deceived by saying, oh, it's not going to cost us anything, without finishing a sentence right now. But what happens after this thing collapses? They're billions of dollars in a hole. But I did, by the way, get to the last line of 161A, Section 6. The authority may not provide service to a city or town that fails to join the transportation area unless such town was receiving service as of July 1, 2000. We weren't receiving any
That's
service as of July 1, 2000. Last time I checked, the last check I wrote said 2022.
That's right.
We're about 21 years late on that one, and we're 30 years late on asking the people if we really wanted to join.
That's right.
And you know the irony of this? If they would have asked 30 years ago, it would have probably been an easy yes.
That's right.
Nobody in their right mind could consider, unless they knew government, I would have been opposed 30 years ago, because we know how bad the government can screw up anything.
Right.
So we know how if you give bureaucrats control and unrestricted ability to spend money and take taxpayer money, state, federal, and local money, to just keep lining their pockets, they are going to create the biggest mess in the world. This is like the big dig on steroids, the MBTA. We know that. They wrote a song about it in '59. We would have known, but I think 30 years ago, the people in full, like you said at one of our previous shows, 30 years ago, we actually still had people working in this city. They would have probably said, yeah, you know, hey, I'll jump on that train to go to Boston.
That's right.
But now we get no information. We don't see the headlines that it'll take decades and billions. From the guy, by the way, who wrote the report for Deval Patrick in 2008. He said in 2008 the T was on its way to destruction, and it was going to take decades to fix in his report. But we're going to jump on a Titanic. But you know what upsets me? If you give them all the information and they still vote yes, nobody can complain.
That's right.
I mean, I'm going to complain because I'm going to have to pay the taxes.
That's right.
But when they complain, I'm going to say, shut up, you moron, because you voted for it. And that's the key. The key is this is unconscionable that the people that we elect to represent us will not tell the truth. Yeah. They're going to tell a half-truth. Oh, I mean, it's not going to, to my knowledge, it's not going to cost us a penny. Well, does health care, does anything in this city still cost the same as it did? Well, health care actually costs less because we did a good job. But the reaction, does anything cost less now than it did 3 years ago when you took office? Not really. Do you really believe? I mean, to your knowledge, do you ever pick up a newspaper?
No, because it doesn't report the news.
Not our newspaper, but do you ever read the Boston Herald? Do you ever watch Channel 5 News in Boston? They've been running things since 2018 on what a disaster the T is. 2018. So that's 4 years ago. They've been running stuff about the T going off the rails, going over the cliff for 4 years. But you don't believe that the city of Fall River is entitled to you doing your due diligence and giving them all the facts and asking the MBTA. And I think at the council meeting tomorrow, there's going to be a citizens input presentation about this stuff. And I believe that they're going to finally try to educate our city council. They're going to tell them about these articles, because apparently nobody on our city council ever reads anything outside of Fall River. Nobody knows. You think if we're entering something like this, you look at the complete picture, but all they do is point at the tree. Right now, it's not going to cost us anything. Oh, don't worry about the fact that this place is a catastrophe. Don't worry about the fact that everybody says it's going to take decades and billions. Where are they going to get the billions of dollars? You think the people at the T that ran their pension system into a $1.3 billion deficit are going to give up their fat paychecks? You think they're going to donate to the T? No. The T is going to say, okay, we need more money from the feds. And there was an article about the feds not being able to bail them out. We're going to want more money from the state, and we're going to want more money from the local community.
Right, we're going to want more money from you.
But no, that's not going to happen, right? That'll never happen. The T's never raised their rates. Oh, they'll never return. Oh, he'll never return. Why? Because a fare increase,
That's right?
An unfair fare increase in 1959. But they won't do it to us. Why? Because Fall River joined. And when Fall River joins anything, you know nothing bad ever happens. Just like our charter. Nothing bad ever happens in Fall River.
Well, now that you've mentioned the charter, tomorrow the city council will be meeting after Pam LeBeau is arraigned. And it is the intent, and I'm going to say the names now, of Laura Washington to make a motion to remove her as president.
Yeah.
They're going back to a decision that was rendered. Do you remember Coughlin?
Yeah, I remember Coughlin.
As corporate counsel?
He was Eddie Lambert's.
Right.
Eddie Lambert's.
He turned around and he rendered a decision that under the new rules, because when he was in, there was a new rule, the city council must elect a new president. Now, that was the rules then. We're under a new charter.
Yeah.
And the new charter says the vice president succeeds the president. Not they hold another election.
You're right. But there's another question, CD, that I have. You're saying she's being arraigned tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. The day of the meeting. She pleads not guilty.
Right.
So then Laura Washington is going to determine she is guilty and
Correct.
remove her. She has no due process.
That's right.
Right? So those Nazis on a city council that just want that have political aspirations, because we all know who wants to be the real president.
Yeah, it's Linda.
We all know.
It's Linda.
And so
and the mayor wants Linda to be president
of course.
so that he controls the city council.
Well,
and that's why Alan Rumsey issued the opinion that the city council does whatever the hell it wants. How come they can do whatever the hell they want now, but when it was about ARPA money, they had no say?
You're right. But what about the fact that Rumsey, who's supposed to be a lawyer, if she pleads not guilty, which I assume she is,
right?
They don't have a right to do that because
That's right.
she is innocent
Until
by the
proven
Constitution of the United States.
Right.
We don't have the right
And
to
I said
override
that
due
in the
process.
weekend flush.
I know.
I said that in the weekend
I
flush.
know. But
She's
that's the thing. But they're going to convict her.
That's right.
Because you know something? They're just like Joe Biden. The Constitution is discretionary.
That's right.
We don't care. I'm going to run this country by fiat. I'm going to give out money that the House of Representatives, that our Congress has to give out. They are the Ways and Means.
That's right.
But I'm going to give it anyway.
That's right.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to violate this. I'm not going to pay attention to the Constitution. Well, now we got city councilors. And shame on that non-elected councilor. She's showing her true colors. Doesn't care about the taxpayer. We all know that. She
That's
took
right.
money out of our pocket with the water bill.
That's right.
But now she's going to convict someone without due process. And that begs the question, would she like the same treatment someday? If we get in a different mayor besides hands in his pocket, head up his you-know-where mayor, who wants to start a cabal, are we going to... what happens if she doesn't get due process? She'll be the first one screaming.
That's right.
I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty.
Right.
Until I'm proven guilty. But no, they're going to wait for the arraignment. So let's see what happens. I guess Wednesday's show, we already got it written.
It'll be very interesting. I gave a citizen's input. My citizen's input focused specifically on this.
Yeah.
And I said in it, remember, be careful where you throw stones because you never know which windows you're going to break. And I also brought up the fact that there are city councilors which are guilty of, or allegedly guilty of, racism, possession of police reports, and illegal gaming. How come all of them aren't removed?
And actually, those things are crimes.
Exactly.
I mean, this is a crime too.
Yeah.
But this is a kind of a harassment crime.
Yeah, exactly.
The other things, illegal gaming is obviously an issue.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. It's always a pleasure to be with you. We'll see you on Wednesday. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.